Hey there, Andrew Anderson here, and I have the pleasure of speaking with Dr. Gina Pritchard. And today we're going to do something a little different. Hopefully, we'll do a lot of them. We're going to talk about the myth of calories and why calories don't matter. And we're going to do something. I'm going to intro, if I can press the right button. It's going to be a 10-minute talk. And I'm going to press the button now, and we're going to try to cover this in less than 10 minutes because everybody's busy. So, Doc, thank you for showing up and giving us your time. I know how valuable that is.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Great. And let's dive into it, and then they can figure out who we are and everything else later. So one of the things that bothers me most, having been doing keto for over 10 years now, is that everybody talks about calories and why they matter, when point in fact, there's been hundreds of studies that say they don't. And the measurement itself is false. And I don't want to lead you there, but that's like saying 1 ounce of tequila is going to have the same effect as 1 ounce of beer. So if that's the case, because a calorie of fat and a calorie of protein and a calorie of carbohydrates, which are different, if that's the case, then you do 10 shots of tequila and I'll do 10 shots of water, and we'll see what effect it has on us. Is that a lead up?
Yes, absolutely. I say we need to cancel the calorie conversation. We just need to cancel it. Stop having a conversation about calories. Calories in, calories out, that doesn't even matter. It's a flawed, if you even want to call it a scientific principle, it's not. It's flawed because we know it's much more detailed than that, Andrew. And I know you know that and your listeners know that, but we're talking about cellular level use of glucose, of insulin, of our energy source. So we have to change our energy source so that it's a more efficient use of that energy and we have greater output with our body because we're fueling it appropriately. But it's not a matter of a number of calories. Your calories that you do need, if you want to even talk about that, even I've already said cancel the conversation, but it changes all the time. And if you markedly restrict your calories, as we were talking about earlier, that can come back to bite you. It can really set you up for failure if you really restrict them and then you go way overboard. Your body will, when you're in that restrictive state, it's different than intermittent fasting. It has a totally different effect. But if you restrict your calories, then your body thinks there's no food available. You're in a starvation mode and it will shut down your energy expenditure needs so that it preserves fats. You're going to hold on to fat if you try to restrict calories. It just doesn't work. Let's just cancel that whole conversation. Put it aside. We have much better ways to understand how to lose weight, how to feel better, how to improve our health.
Gotcha. And anytime I see any of the gurus talking about calorie counting, I know that they have not read any literature in the past 10 years about this, because what's happens is, and just to correct me if I'm wrong on this, when you go into, retaining the fat and you go into calorie restrictions, your body will reset the metabolism so it will stay low as possible, and it can take months for it to recover, which is why don't do it. Don't even think about it. And one of the other things I found that I wanted to talk to you about too is that when you get enough calories, most people's hormones receptors are so far off that they never really feel full. But when you get back into a healthy diet, if you start doing keto, you eat till you're full, your body will slowly reset so that when you do get full, it'll tell you, I've had enough. Is that correct?
That's exactly right. And so let's talk about what kind of food are we putting in our mouth? Because that's what really matters. And like you said, we focus on, for example, protein and fat first, and we get full on that, then you do not even have to worry about calories whatsoever. And the body does not make mistakes. In other words, the body is constantly responding to the signals we send it. So if we send it the signal of there is no food, like when we restrict calories, then it thinks, okay, no food is available. To save this human's life, we're going to slow down the metabolic process so that when they do find food again, they're going to, live long enough to find the next something to eat. Like if you think back before food was so readily available at every, corner in the United States, corner of the world, practically.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I guess we've got 5 minutes and 14 seconds left-ish there. I don't know if you see that. So what's the difference between quote unquote counting calories and starving yourself for a couple of weeks at a time versus doing intermittent fasting where you limit your eating window? With women, it's say 14 hours fasting and then they eat the rest of the window, or guys, it's 18-hour fasting and they have a 6-hour window. What's the difference there? What's going on?
So when we are in our eating window, our eating time frame, if we're eating high quality protein and fat, then we can go many, many hours and be much more productive, have greater level of performance, greater level of brain function, cognitive focus, because our body is more efficient and it's more, not having to spend that time trying to deal with this glucose load that it was just sent. And anyway, during the times of intermittent fasting, as you said, for a few hours every 24 hours, may occasionally do a longer fast, but not on a daily basis. The body will get rid of these, what's called zombie cells, or go through this process called autophagy, which just means rather than all these dead cells hanging around taking up some of your energy, the body needs to do this cleanup process. It does that when you're fasting intermittently. It does it when you're getting high quality sleep at night during deep and REM. And so both of those things promote longevity. It promotes health at the cellular level. And you'll notice that in your ability to perform and joy of life on a daily basis.
Right. Yeah. When I first got in and started doing this, I called it 6th gear because it felt I was like just cruising. And one of the differences is, and correct me if I'm wrong again, because I'm not a doctor, nor do I play one on TV or even on the internet, that when your body, when mitochondria are able to process ketones versus glucose, and I may be messing this up, it takes half as much work for them to use the ketones or the fats than it does the carbohydrates, which leads us to be like, after we gorge ourselves on carbs, we just want to fall asleep.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Carbohydrates or glucose, anything in the carbohydrate category, is a much less efficient energy source. And so that's what ketosis does for it and for us. And combine that with intermittent fasting, then it turns us into a lean, mean, fat burning machine, which is what we want, because not only is that a healthier state, a higher productive state, as we talked about, but the brain runs better on ketones. The heart runs better on ketones. And we need our brain and our heart to do anything in this life. We need our health. So yeah.
Great. Anything else we could we could put a stake through this vampires of caloric restrictions heart? Is there anything we can do that other than educate people?
I don't know, other than besides education, I think seeing someone else who's living that type of life, who is running circles around you in terms of what they get done in a day, or who feels better, who has great health. And then I also think what you've developed here with a community of support, because a lot of times that's what it takes as well. When we've fallen off the wagon or whatever, it takes education, it takes seeing that it's actually doable and it's helping someone else. So maybe you want to try it too. And then the support of a community. I think that's what it takes.
Gotcha. Okay, so we've got 1 minute and 30 seconds left. Where can people find you?
At the THE Prevent, PREVENT clinic.com, the preventclinic.com. You can also go to skipyournextheartattack.com. And those would be the two best places to find me. Of course, you and I both know that these concepts today impact the health of the oral microbiome. So you can also go to the spittest.com, because that's a very important test to have, whether you're keto or not.
Right. And just briefly, basically everybody knows about the gut biome, but they don't know about the oral biome, and they're connected. And they can lead to a whole bunch of issues. Just go to the spittest.com and you can see what's going on. So we've got 30 seconds to wrap it up. Want to say anything else?
Thank you so much for having me today. I'm thrilled to be talking to your followers, and I hope they'll continue to listen. I know we're going to do more of these, because there's so many overweight and unhealthy people, and they're not enjoying life, and we want to change that for them, make life better and longer.
Right. Intermittent fasting and keto did it for me. I mean, it was a life changer, the best single decision I ever made, because it changed everything. So, all right, thank you very much. We're going to make it in. We've got 17 seconds or 16 seconds. So thanks everybody for watching. And Dr. Pritchard, appreciate your time. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
You're welcome. Bye.